Got Keith Bryant, Lubbock Cooper superintendent in the house. Hey, man, I just need to bring something to your attention real quick because, I think it's really important. You can't fix something that's wrong unless you know about it. And, I got to razz Laura a little bit. She walks into this band booster meeting last night. Okay, she hadn't been to a band booster meeting and, she hadn't been to a band booster meeting since last time I cleaned my dentures.
Well, I really haven't been to very many this year. I tried to attend all of them last year, but this year I didn't because of my job situation. I'm starting a new little preschool, and I'm there till 6. The meeting starts at 6:30. I'm exhausted.
Her daughter's in,
the
the Miss Texas program and all this other thing. So she walks in, and they're about to vote on the vice president for the band boosters.
Guess
Now, hold on a minute here. The guy that was up for it, stepped down, and they, so in walks Laura, and they go, "Hey, let's get Mikey."
Well, it didn't quite happen like that, but
Kinda,
it was
sorta.
close. Yeah. Anyway, yes, when I woke up yesterday morning, I had no idea that I would be back on the board for band boosters at Lubbock Cooper.
So
but
I just thought I'd put your ear on the ground, man.
It's a good group of people.
Well, congratulations to you. Well deserved.
Shooting fish in a barrel. Okay.
That'll teach me to go to a meeting. That's why people don't attend the meetings.
They may get elected.
I
Yes.
get it. Okay, Senate Bill 893. Basically, a lot of people saying, "What? You're going to cut teacher pay to $27,000 a year?" Okay, I think a lot of people just kind of knee jerk a lot of this stuff. Give in your estimation of what Senate Bill 893 does. Highlights, lowlights.
I'll tell you my take as you ask. First of all, I will say overall that I'm not a fan of the bill, and there's a variety of reasons. One reason is because it kind of changes the way we evaluate our teachers, and to me that should be a local decision. Certainly there's got to be some state parameters that are set, but it ought to be up to our locally elected board and administrative team to make the decision for what's best for Lubbock Cooper. And this bill makes some changes to that. There's been a lot of.
What is the current way to evaluate teachers?
Well, the current way to evaluate teachers is under an appraisal system that allows local districts to make a decision if there's a very good quality teacher that doesn't have to have a yearly evaluation. You can do it once every 3 years, which is what we do. And if there's a problem with someone, then we can evaluate them more often than that.
And you mean by evaluation, someone actually coming in, sitting in that teacher's class and observing
Performance
him or
review.
her.
Correct. Doing a formal performance review,
Right.
going through the formal process. Our principals are in classrooms all the time, so they do that informally anyway, and they're aware if a teacher's not performing well. And so I think this bill kind of diminishes the principal's ability to make that professional decision.
Because this bill mandates that it would be a yearly thing for all teachers?
Absolutely. And for instance, at our high school, we have 90-something teachers, and certainly at Friendship and the Lubbock high schools, there's well over 100. There's a time constraint there with the administration to be able to get in all those classrooms and do those formal evaluations just to meet the letter of a law that really is. We want to let good teachers teach.
Is that really the beef? Is the frequency and the mandated frequency of the evaluation, or is it the way you evaluate?
Well, I think it depends on who you ask. Probably from the administrative side, it's probably the frequency of it. From the teacher side, it's probably the way the evaluation occurs. The state is rolling out a new appraisal system, and we are going to be a pilot school to do that next year. And it's very involved, very time-consuming on behalf of the principals, and it's supposed to give good feedback to the teachers. But again, that would make it be something that's done every year for every teacher, as opposed to those that are doing very well. We would have the ability to do that every 3 years in current law.
Okay, we're visiting with Superintendent Lubbock Cooper Schools Keith Bryant on House Bill 893. We'll be back in just a minute. We're visiting with Keith Bryant, Lubbock Cooper Schools Superintendent, talking about Senate Bill 893 and highlights, lowlights. I guess what people are upset about, one of the points that you're not crazy about is it mandates annual performance reviews just to do an annual performance review. Your thinking is that, that should be a local decision and not necessarily based on a timeline, because if people are excelling and they get great results in the classroom, If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, that's like my granddaughter's third grade teacher, Mrs. Young, at Cooper North. She's a fabulous teacher.
Yes, she is.
And I cannot imagine having her be subjected to yearly evaluations when everybody knows she's a fabulous teacher.
Well,
she's doing
here's what I get
doing.
out of it. You know, if you get into performance reviews, okay, annual performance reviews, then the whole thing is like, if you interview one person this way and you review another person that way, it's like, well, my review wasn't fair. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just like you didn't ask me the same questions you asked her.
Now, if you have new teachers, when I started teaching, I was given a yearly review, evaluation, and I needed to be because I was new. Or some teachers who are struggling, they may need some help, getting going. And so, but experienced teachers, I can imagine how upset they are.
Well, and we do those with the new teachers or a struggling teacher. They are evaluated every year. But again, the experienced teachers that do a fantastic job, such as Linda Young that you mentioned and others, it's almost demeaning to them to have to go through a process just to go through the process. Everyone knows they're great, and that should be a local decision to make as to how often we evaluate.
And this bill actually changes the way they would be paid as well, right?
There's some misconception about that. The original bill, the way it was written, took it does away with the minimum teacher salary schedule, which starts out right now currently. A first-year teacher makes $27,340 and escalates over a 20-year period up to somewhere around the $48,000 figure now.
Based on
years of experience, years of teaching experience. Now, there's only 11 districts out of the 1,000 in Texas that adhere to that. Most other districts, such as our district, pay above that teacher salary schedule. But the fear is the bill does away with the entire schedule except for the first year. So it says the basic teacher pay will be $27,340. So you can increase if a local district wishes to increase, and certainly our school district would never knock everybody down that level. We want to enhance and become more competitive with teacher salaries, not less competitive.
Hey, Keith, let's pause just for a second. Let's go to the phones. Got a question or comment, 770-5790. Ken, you're on.
The problem on the valuations that they're talking about is that so much of it's going to be weighted on the current, scores that like the tax scores that the test kids are taking this week. So much will be based on the outcomes of that, not necessarily student progress. You could have a kid, a classroom that's in a fairly economically advantageous school, and then a kid from a Title I school, and the teacher's going to get graded just based on the scores from the child, not necessarily the progress the child makes, and that's a big flaw in the system they're talking about.
Right, because there's already controversy about the STAR testing anyway, and so to have the teacher evaluations, their performance based on how their students do on the STAR testing, I mean, how fair is that?
Well, it's not. Again, that should be a local decision. He's exactly right. If you're in a school that has more challenging student population, it's more difficult because of environmental factors outside the control of the teacher to get those kids to perform at that level. And that's why most of us are opposing 893, because we don't. Again, that should be a local decision. It should be a decision made on the campus. If a teacher's performing well with a group of kids, and that can be recognized, and if not, there may be other factors besides what the teacher is doing.
Hey, just to juxtapose what you just said, Ken and Keith. Drive-by caller said nurses get annual reviews regardless of status, and thinks teachers should as well.
Well, most teachers that I know are not afraid to be evaluated, and most of them welcome it, and most of them do their job well. It's just in any job, any profession, there's some that don't. But the big problem is that there's no true, accurate process in what's being talked about, by the TEA to allow for an accurate representation of what that what they do with their job.
Yeah. Hey, man, great comment, great call. Appreciate you ringing us up. Tom Collins, Laura Mack. This is Lubbock's First News, in conversation with Keith Bryant, Lubbock Cooper Schools Superintendent. Thanks for coming in this morning. We're talking about House Bill 893. Had caller saying, hey, you know what? One of the problems with this is, the evaluations are based off of the STAR tests, and the whole thing is teaching to a test. All kids aren't created equal when it comes to taking tests. Some people are better at test strategies than others, but in the end analysis, the teachers that set kids on fire are the teachers that love what they do, that can instill the love of learning. And, you can't assess that on a test. I mean, you just can't.
Well, you're exactly right. There are so many factors that go into a classroom today. So many situations that teachers deal with. Teachers are parents to a large degree. They are nurses to a degree. They're counselors. Sometimes they're providers. I heard something the other day that said teachers are the only ones that steal from home to take to work, as opposed to stealing things from work to take home. They steal from their home to bring things to work.
Right.
And it's all to take care of kids. And again, it goes back to local control. Let the locally elected school board and let the locally hired administrators work with the teachers and make those decisions instead of that being legislated from Austin.
And if that's not enough, here's what it would cost. This bill is expected to cost the state nearly $23 million if it passes. Really, I can think of better ways to spend $23 million.
Excuse me.
Choked you up on that one?
Yeah. Now, Laura brought up a point, or you brought up a point, when we were talking about the salary thing. This is kind of another disparity in there. Now, we don't think that school districts are going to cut everybody to $27,000 as far as teachers go. But, librarians and school nurses, people like that, those peripheral people are still in the evaluation process. And, in a position like that, they're also under the salary thing. So a lot of those other positions that are considered to be lesser positions in a school, oftentimes, they're thinking those could be cut to the bone.
And they really could. They fall in the same scenario salary-wise. But, again, most districts hopefully will not do that. I can speak for Lubbock Cooper to say that we're certainly not going to do that. And we appreciate the work of all of our employees, not just our teachers.
Yeah. The one thing that Texas Classroom Teachers Association says they like about it is the teachers can customize their professional development, but they said the rest of the bill is not worth passing for this one thing they do agree with. So,
see what happens.
Thank you so much for coming in today.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Appreciate you taking the time out.